I keep giving bad people good ideas.
Hello guys, welcome to today's video. If you hear a lot of clicking, and that's my cat jumping from my desk to the window. But if you hear a lot of clicking throughout today's video, I'm going to be jumping through tabs. But today's video, we are going to be talking about, is it worth getting a Zotac GTX 1080 Ti in 2025? And here's the thing. Obviously, the GTX 1080 Ti is a old graphics card. Came out in like 2016, 2017, I would want to say. And I've had the graphics cards. I think I got this pre-built. It sounds stupid. Yes, I bought it pre-built. But I got it on Cyber Monday, and I got a pretty good fucking deal for it. I paid probably $1,200 for it. And it's lasted me from 2018, 2017 to now. I think pretty much I got it, I'm pretty sure, in like 2018. But it's lasted me over 5 years, so I've had it 5 to 7 years, roughly doing the math as quickly off the top of my head. I would say it's a pretty good graphics card. Would I say it's the strongest graphics card out? No. We have things like the fucking 500 series, the RTX 500 series, and those graphics cards are really fucking good. You could do fucking ray tracing and shit. If you try to do ray tracing on a GTX 1080 Ti, it will fucking shoot itself in the head. It just can't process that. What kind of sucks is right when I bought this pre-built, it was really good, and it is still really good. But the thing is, right when I bought this was right when ray tracing and all that kind of became more of a thing, and they were kind of making more components and more parts kind of cater to that. So I kind of missed out on that. I pretty much have good graphics. I can run games very good, but when it comes to ray tracing or anything, my graphics card, or if you buy the GTX 1080 Ti, it just doesn't have the tech for that. It just, when they made this graphics card, it just, ray tracing wasn't really a thing. And right when they dropped this card, that's right when it kind of became a thing in that like 2017, 2016 era. And then as we kind of see now with more games nowadays, they just throw it in there. If your shit can run it, you can run it, you know, type of thing. And I wouldn't say they've, again, thrown in every single game. There's some games that they are kind of still working on it. And ray tracing is still kind of a weird thing. Well, I feel like with some games, they're like, oh, ray tracing runs fucking great on this, and it's great, blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes some people are like, ray tracing is still like this up in the air thing. Well, we'll try and get it work really good. Like, we got it going, but we'll still, you know. So ray tracing, if you want to do ray tracing and all that, you might have to, you know, spend the extra money and go for more of a RTX 360 or maybe a 400 series or 500 series if you want to get a bit more specs out of that. Again, this comes very loose. I would definitely go double check. I would just go off the information I'm giving you right now if you'll try and go for ray tracing. Pretty much, with the point of this video, I want to try and see, is it fucking so good? Is it still worth your money? I would say if you're going for ray tracing, you want to max out your build, you want to get this crazy ass fucking build, do not buy a 1080 Ti. I would say 1080 Ti is really good if you're going for a budget build, because again, you could buy a RTX 570, or whatever, yeah, 5070, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You could buy it for $549, or you could buy a GeForce RTX 5070 Ti for $749. Say you don't want to spend that much money, because again, when it comes to really buying PC parts, from my personal experience, I could be wrong, and again, it kind of differs on a lot of things, but I feel like one of the most expensive things you do end up buying with a PC is usually your graphics card, and you don't really want to short out on things like your graphics card, CPU, or motherboard, stuff like that. Definitely not your power supply, but I feel like definitely with your graphics card, you're usually spending a lot of fucking money. And say you don't have enough money to spend $2,000 on a new GeForce RTX 590, but you want to play Black Ops 6 with your friends. I would say getting a GTX 1080 Ti will do the job. all I've had to do with this PC that I bought, this pre-built I bought in 2025, and what the fuck am I talking about? This pre-built I bought in 2017. Fuck, sorry, my brain's splitting. Or 2018, whatever you, so this pre-built that I bought like 5-7 years ago, that is an Intel Core i7, I think A7? Yeah, I think it's an A700K. So again, the specs are pretty good on the computer, they're not that bad. But with that combination and just having 16 gigs of RAM and stuff, I've been able to run most games on max graphics. And then, newer games nowadays require you to have an SSD. And that was the only issue I really ran into, was I just didn't have enough SSD storage, because my PC came with a 250 SSD and then a 1 terabyte hard drive. So all I had to do was install a 4 terabyte SSD. And I was good to go. And I feel like, again, obviously at some point in the next few years, I'm going to probably have to upgrade my computer and do a whole new build or whatever, because my motherboard is pretty dated too. But for the time being, it is doing the job. When I do play Black Ops 6, I can run it on max graphics. I just kind of refuse to do that, because one thing is, it is a 1080 Ti. I do not want to, fucking give it a seizure. It is an old graphics card. It's running a game that's 7 years after its prime, but it's doing it, and it's doing it good. Number two, heating. My PC doesn't really overheat, and it doesn't really have too much of a heating issue, but it's kind of where it just does the job. When I run high demanding games like Black Ops 6 on an older graphics card like a GTX 1080 Ti, I'm kind of using a lot of the graphics card. I'm using a lot of the power of it. So heating, it doesn't really overheat where I'm like, oh fuck, I'm damaging the graphics card, but it definitely does kind of hit that level where I'm like, it's running a little hot. So I try running it in a mixture of medium and high graphics. Well, still, the game still looks good and still looks, vibrant, still looks amazing, but then I'm still not stressing the fuck out of the CPU. But if you didn't really give a fuck, and you don't really give a fuck about blowing up your computer, and you don't really give a fuck about your hardware, theoretically, you can run Black Ops 6 on max graphics if you just have the right CPU and the right storage, pretty much. Again, most PCs nowadays, there are some people running 8 gigabytes of RAM, but most PCs nowadays have 16 to 32 gigabytes of RAM. That's normally the normal limit now that people run. And really, if you just have an SSD, you're pretty solid. And if you kind of just know what you're doing and you just get the right parts for this GPU to run good, you will be fine. But pretty much, would I go and be like, oh, I'm going to try and make the best build and I want ray tracing? I definitely would not get the 1080 Ti. If you want to get kind of in the middle, I'd probably get like a 400 series card, so then you're not spending as much as the 500 series. But again, you could go with a fucking 5080 instead of 470, and I think possibly, I'll double check, but you're possibly paying the same price, maybe not. But again, that's when you kind of have to look into more of smaller things like specs. So for an RTX 460 Ti off Nvidia's website right now, it's about $400. And that's a 460. What was the 470s? What the fuck they got them at? So a 470 Ti is about $800. Again, let's go into the prices of the 1080 Ti. So there are some people trying to sell the 1080 Ti for like $570. Like again, we saw with the fucking I kind of hate how they have the website, because they have their new graphics card, and it makes sense to promote that. But then they make it so hard to go into the buy options, and I'm trying to like look at the prices and shit. So we saw with the 460, you could get it for like $400. So why would you want to buy a fucking 1080 Ti, GTX 1080 Ti for $570? And that's on Newegg. So I would definitely say when you are going to buy this, do not spend over $250. I would say this goes into like someone who's just getting into PCs, or someone who doesn't want to spend a fuckload of money but still wants to be able to run shit like COD and run games smoothly, but you don't want all the extra bullshit and you don't want to spend all the extra money. I would say the GTX 1080 Ti is great for that. Sorry, I'm just like making sure I didn't like mispronounce the fuck out of that. I would say it's perfect for that, but I would say definitely go on, look on websites like eBay and other trusted websites, because places like Newegg, people are trying to charge you like $340 or $500, when easily you could go onto eBay and you could see people are trying to sell it for $135, $200, $250. Like I said, don't spend any more than $250, but then also, when you go on eBay, you'll see people selling them for $80 or $90. I would contact the seller. If the seller seems shady, possibly don't do it. And usually, if they're selling it really cheap, it probably got used hella, something's broken, or was used for mining, which usually doesn't cause too much issues if it's used for mining. But just know your graphics card's been used and it's been abused. But also, if it's really cheap, it could possibly be broken. So kind of watch out for that. I would really stick to the range of $150 to $250 when it comes to buying this graphics card, because you're kind of buying the quality. Like, again, if you can get it for $100, get it for $100. But again, if it's really cheap, it might be really cheap for a reason. So I would say definitely, if you're going to try to get it, go on eBay or on a used website where you could buy used parts, and don't spend more than $250, and, you know, stick in that $100-$150 range, so you're getting a quality part that you know will work or shouldn't have issues. Because again, if they're selling a graphics card for like $80, there's something fucking wrong with it. But besides that, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed today's little ramble of a video, and I definitely would say it's definitely worth getting a 1080 Ti if you're trying to do a budget build. If you're just trying to get into PC and you just want a PC that can run stuff pretty well, but you don't want to spend hella money or thousands of dollars on a graphics card, the 1080 Ti will get you by if you know where to buy it, and you kind of get it for a good price. Like I said, between $150, $100, or max $250. I wouldn't spend any more than that on this graphics card. But pretty much it gets the job done. And again, like, say you're doing a build, you're just getting into PCs and stuff, and you're thinking of upgrading the GPU at some point, but you want to just get a nice little starter GPU. This is a good GPU for that, and then you can upgrade later on, or whatever your whole goal is. But I would definitely say the 1080 Ti, it's still withstanding. It still is standing. And I wouldn't say, oh, it's the best graphics card, but it definitely is a tank of a graphics card to last from 2017 to 2025. And if it's still around and kicking ass, it's lasted 10 years, which most graphics cards don't really have that crazy of a lifetime, or really can keep up that long. But besides, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.